Hello, Representative Swalwell and people of the Tribunal. My name is Zaina, and I am a Palestinian American and president of a nonprofit organization dedicated to the cultural preservation of my village Birzeit in the West Bank. I was born and raised right here in Castro Valley. When my parents were forced to continue their education elsewhere to flee the tear gas and rubber bullets that would spray down on them from the Israeli occupational forces, they came here to Castro Valley to seek refuge. The hills that surround this valley reminded them of home, and the opportunities for education reminded them that they still had a future. I was born here, but not out of choice. I longed for ways that I could live the American dream while still maintaining my heritage in hopes that one day I could return home to where I belong in Palestine. As part of my career path, I started leading youth leadership delegations to Palestine, where I led 45 young adults across the Jordanian border into the West Bank, through Bethlehem, and all throughout the occupied territories. Unlike your trip with your wife, Mr. Swalwell, to the occupied and internationally illegitimate settlement of Kibbutz Kfar Aza, my delegation and I were not afforded the same courtesies and luxuries you received. Why? Because we were all of Palestinian origin. It took me 16 hours of relentless questioning and humiliation to get my delegation across the border. We were stopped at every single checkpoint, adding an additional 5 hours to our bus ride just to get to our accommodations, when it would have normally taken 30 minutes. This interfaith delegation was made up of Palestinians in the diaspora from around the world. Majority of us as American citizens and holding American passports. We were there to foster an environment of international cooperation, learning how to build up our beloved homeland and bring lasting just peace. Regardless of our American identities and our mission for peace, we were met with a disgusting display of racism, militarism, and hateful extremism by the Israelis. I'm also sure what we saw was much different than what you and Brittany saw in your Israeli state-sponsored trip for good PR. We saw 26-foot walls with sniper turrets every few hundred feet. We saw Israeli soldiers parading around US-manufactured M4 rifles, laughing, taunting, and even spitting on us. We were allowed to walk only on certain streets because Palestinians were not allowed to walk on the Israeli roads. We had to be quick with our showers because Israel controls 94% of the water in Palestine, and we never knew if there would be enough water left in the storage tanks. And even still, Israeli settlers would often shoot holes into these tankards, depleting all the water anyway. Mr. Swalwell, what we saw can unequivocally be labeled as apartheid. I suppose that you and Brittany did not get to witness this apartheid because it was withheld from you on purpose by an Israeli government that prides itself on its Oscar-worthy performance, showing the American people that they are a beacon of goodness and democracy in the Middle East. What you saw, Mr. Swalwell, were lies. You have lost all sight of what it means to be a public worker and to be a representative of your district. Your actions show that you care more to appease this Israeli apartheid regime than engaging with your constituents and calling for a ceasefire. Many of us Palestinians in District 14 have written countless emails and logged countless public comments with your staffers. And yet, we all received the same tone-deaf response, devoid of empathy and humanity for the suffering of your constituents. Mr. Swalwell, do you know what the last paragraph of your emotionless email said? It said, "If you, your family, or a loved one is seeking evacuation from Israel or Gaza, please visit the state website to provide the State Department with necessary information to assist you. This form is currently open to U.S. citizens and their eligible family members." Mr. Swalwell, I cried when I read that paragraph because my eligible family was already dead. They were sheltering in one of the oldest churches in Gaza that was bombed by Israel with US weapons. How insensitive can you be to have okayed such a callous email with no regard? Because I know you don't care about Palestinians. You think that Palestinian lives simply do not matter. And I know you don't. Because while my family has been aching and grieving not only for this loss, but the 75 years of brutal Israeli occupation, I see a cowardly representative that has an Israel Chai poster hanging on his closed office door in DC. So clearly, we see where you stand. I have played the role of a good American. I got an American education and an American job so I can pay my tax dollars only to be sent to a foreign government to oppress and ethnically cleanse an entire people. My people. Human beings. For a congressman who was so hell-bent on proving foreign interference with Trump's campaign during his impeachment trial to not realize the hypocrisy of colluding with Israel on this genocide is comical. Mr. Swalwell, your losing sight of what it means to be a public worker has made you look like a joke. You are the same politician that you have been striving to keep out of office. You cannot run on a platform where your only achievement is impeaching Trump when you are exactly like him. Devoid of humanity, a lust to stay in power, and maintaining the status quo. The legacy you leave behind for your 3 kids is one of cowardice, and I truly pity that. Because they will never know the strength that it takes to uphold the tenets of truth, justice, and peace. I grew up knowing that strength because I witness every day for my brothers and sisters fighting for their existence in Gaza. I know that strength because of my brothers and sisters in Palestine showing us what it means to put it all on the line for liberation. And I know that strength because of the endurance of my parents coming to a new land while holding fast to their roots. I hold you, Representative Swalwell, complicit in the over 32,000 deaths in Gaza, and I hold you responsible for using my tax dollars to fund this genocide, and I hold you in contempt for failing to do your job and listening to your constituents and calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza and an end to the occupation in Palestine. Thank you.